Acting Comptroller Sue, you've spoken a few times in the last year about the separation of banking and commerce. From an activities perspective, can you expound on where that line is? Specifically, I want to know from you, where do payment activities fall on the banking and commerce spectrum?
Sure. So I think it's one way to think about it is banking consists of three services that are bundled together: facilitating payments, making loans, and taking deposits. So banks essentially, when banks are chartered, those are three activities that are bundled within the bank. When payments becomes unbundled from that on its own, that is commerce. That's not banking. What is happening sometimes is that those payment activities that get unbundled are sometimes being rebundled outside of the bank perimeter, and that, to me, starts to approximate banking outside of the bank regulatory perimeter, and it warrants monitoring.
Can you give me an example of rebundled?
Sure. So a payments company may start off providing payment services that are very narrowly defined as payment services, and then over time it would say, we can hold your cash as if it's a deposit and provide it with yield, and then we can also offer a loan. And that rebundling of services looks awfully similar to banking.
Thank you very much. Let me pivot quickly to bank fintech partnerships. I'm going to direct these questions to Chairman Gruenberg. I've stated in this committee previously that I feel bank fintech partnerships are important. I represent a rural state. We have mostly all community banks, very few regionals, very few, no GSIBs. I mean, there's connections there. But I worry about these bank fintech partnerships not being available to community banks and only the largest banks in the nation. I understand that sometimes a partnership with a fintech firm can introduce new risks, and I appreciate that there needs to be some framework for oversight of that. However, I've heard that in some cases, examiners are interpreting the new interagency guidance on this topic as more of a one-size-fits-all checklist. So here's the question, Mr. Chairman. The broad application of regulations under the third-party risk guidance and novel activities program has raised some concerns among stakeholders that regulators might be pushing to reduce or even dissolve existing bank fintech partnerships in favor of some more traditional banking operations. Is this a misinterpretation of the FDIC's intentions? If it is, would you please clarify what your intentions are and whether or not your agencies support banks partnering with financially sound and compliant technology companies, financial technology companies?
Thank you, Congressman. Candidly, I think it is a misinterpretation. As I indicated in response to a previous question, most banks manage third-party relationships, including third-party relationships with fintechs, in an appropriate way. They have risk management responsibilities if that third party is undertaking services provided by the bank, as well as consumer protection obligations. Most banks manage those well, and we're supportive of them. There are a few instances in which some banks have overreached, quite frankly, and gotten themselves into some difficulty, as you indicate, and then it becomes a matter of supervisory attention. But as a general matter, we're supportive of those relationships as long as they are managed appropriately and take into account the guidance that you referenced.
Thank you. Chairman Gruenberg, on June 6, 2023, the Federal Reserve, the FDIC, and the OCC issued final guidance regarding risk management expectations for banks partnering with fintechs. While prior third-party risk management guidance included supplemental materials published close to the finalization date, there was a delay in issuing an aid specifically tailored to aid the community banks in complying with this June 2023 guidance. Can you explain the reasons for that delay?
Not offhand, Congressman. Be glad to get back to you in regard to that.
Thank you very much. With that, I yield back.